Brucker. Hey, how you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm doing good. I just want to say welcome to the show. I do appreciate you being on.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you to talk about Crawl.
Same here as well. So I'm gonna go on ahead, introduce the show, and then introduce you, and we'll go on ahead and review Crawl.
All right, man. I'll just take your lead.
Okay. Hello, movie lovers, and welcome to the show. For today's podcast, Brooker and I is actually going to be reviewing the movie Crawl. This movie came out in 2019, and I'm going to go on ahead and let him introduce himself right now. He runs a little podcast called Film on the Rocks. He's going to let you know what the show is all about on his side. So take it away.
Thank you, John. Yeah, my
You're
name
welcome.
is Brucker, and I co-host a movie podcast called Film on the Rocks with a buddy of mine from college. His name is Levi. And each episode, we pick one movie, and we won't break down the movie scene by scene, but we will talk about the movie through our various segments, including drinking rules, our favorite scenes, if we found any sort of deeper message in the movie, does the movie deserve a sequel, and we also like to pepper in any sort of trivia that we can throughout the episode. So it's a lot of fun, and we just like to. It's a lot of fun coming up with drinking rules for movies. So is there something that we've been doing for? We're coming up on a year now, so and we have a broad range of different movies that we like to cover. So yeah, that's our Film on the Rocks. That's our podcast.
That's awesome, man. As a matter of fact, I just made a year on my podcast this month, so that's great.
Oh, congrats.
Thank you, man. I do appreciate it. So, this movie came out in 2019. This is our review of Crawl, and it actually opened up on July 12th. So, this movie actually is a year old now.
Okay.
So, what I have to say is I love the opening scene from this movie because it actually glues you into the character and who we're actually going to be seeing for the next couple of hours in this film. And basically, she's actually on the swim team. She's actually trying to make it. And some events winds up happening to where she actually has to be home. As a matter of fact, we're actually dealing with a disaster movie within a horror movie in itself, where alligators are actually swarming underneath the basement. And, it's just a typical kind of horror movie where you actually see the police outside. They tell her, look, you cannot come in or out of this part of the town or anything like that. But, of course, she winds up going into that town where her father lives because she's actually worried about him, and that's when everything goes down. So, what do you think about the opening scene?
I thought it was. I thought it was. I thought it was good. I really liked how they kind of established this character that we're following, Haley, and I really like that they kind of established that she is an athlete. She's on a swim team, and I also kind of love just all of the obvious imagery we're getting. She's on the swim team for the University of Florida, so she herself is a gator, so which is is kind of funny. But yeah, no, I really liked all this, and I thought it was really smart. I don't want to spoil too much, but I thought it was a really smart setup for how they did this, to where it was her kind of going into the storm as opposed to her being stuck and then the storm just comes on her. So I kind of enjoyed how this opened and how they laid their cards out in the first 15 minutes of this movie.
Most definitely, because we always see in the opening scene and everything where this person's stuck in the storm, the father is stuck in the basement and everything, and they're trying to rush there to go on ahead and see what's going on with their father. This is actually a slow build kind of thing. First, we're dealing with the storm that's coming in, and then after that, we're dealing with alligators in the basement because she's worried about her father. She goes on ahead, she goes into the basement, and she winds up seeing her father unconscious. And then, of course, she winds up seeing the alligator in the basement. And at first, you're only thinking that there's only one alligator
Mm-hmm.
in this whole entire thing because we only see one alligator. The camera angles is actually pretty nice as well.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And also, too, I also want to mention, did you catch the little nod to Jaws on her?
I caught some nods to some other movies, I think, but no, I don't know if I caught the one that was specifically to Jaws. What did you find?
Okay, on the dashboard, there's actually a shark toy on her dashboard.
Oh yeah.
So I'm like, okay, so they are actually kind of using kind of elements for this story within this universe that they're actually giving us. So I actually thought that was a sweet little nod to Jaws.
Yeah, and kind of like what you were saying, that this is a horror movie wound up and twisted with a disaster movie. There's also the element of this is a creature feature as well. And so, one of the best, creature features is Jaws, which is also a horror movie. So it would make sense that they would kind of tip their hat to the big guy, So yeah, okay, that's cool that you caught that. I think I saw like a shark on a billboard or something. Went, oh, cool, Jaws. But yeah, I don't think I caught the toy in the car.
You see, I didn't catch the billboard. I didn't catch it. So kudos for you.
Maybe
on
I'm
that part
misremembering.
too, though.
Maybe I am. Maybe that's a false memory. I don't know. But yeah, I remember seeing a cartoon shark somewhere.
You know what else is funny though? As she's going in, you actually see a gator farm going in.
Yeah.
I'm like, but the plot is actually going in my head on this. I'm like, okay, so is this the gators from the gator farm, or is this just gators in the swamp that came in during the storm? So I'm like, okay, where's this plot going to be going?
Right.
And I like this actually could have been a paint by the numbers kind of film, but it actually gave you the right kind of tension to where the tension built is up and everything. And then of course I like her little wind up generator flashlight that she has.
Yeah. I like that a lot too. And kind of like what you were saying, this is like it's not a run in the mill, because this, you could kind of see this being like a straight to DVD kind of movie, right?
Mm-hmm.
But
most definitely,
it's a concept movie, and the thing is, it's boiled down to something simple, and I really appreciated that. And it takes itself seriously, but not too seriously, if you know what I mean. So it was still fun and enjoyable, and they did such a good job at building tension, like what you were just leading to.
Most definitely. Whenever you see her going inside the house and everything for the very first time, we're hearing the radio in the basement, but we don't actually see her father or anything like that. The dog that she brings in to the house and everything,
Sugar,
Sugar, and the dog just lays there for a few minutes and everything because he just feels like that she's at home. And so next thing you know, she winds up getting up, and then she starts barking because she actually has a sense that the girl's father is down in the basement.
Mm-hmm.
Haley's father. So, I like the fact that they actually used the dog as a way to actually sense him. And then she was able to go down in the basement. And as she's going down in this basement and everything, she winds up seeing everything just disarray. This house looks like it's just falling apart on its own anyways.
Yeah.
It has this very dungy kind of feel to it, where it's like, why are you trying to put this up on the selling block? This house doesn't even look like it's even worthy to be sold.
Yeah, and I think it was kind of playing or giving you this imagery about the family drama that they're having, which is kind of the, I guess, subplot to this movie, is that there is this tension with the family. The family's kind of broken up. And so the house kind of represents that this house is falling apart. His family's falling apart. So Haley and the family dog Sugar come back to the family house to sort of kind of, in essence, throughout the plot of this movie, they kind of help rebuild their connections, kind of like how this house needs to be rebuilt. So that's kind of like what I got from that.
Good call on that, because I actually caught that as well. And I actually felt like, okay, this is a house that's in this complete disarray and everything, just in shambles, just like how the family's in shambles, and they're looking for a way to rebuild their relationship. And it's just bad that an alligator is a way to actually rekindle everything.
Right. Yeah. But there's always some kind of weird catalyst for that.
Right. But then I like how the camera kind of pan angles to the left. And then as the camera pan angles, she's walking in, and she sees her father laying down on the ground in the basement, and he's completely knocked out and everything. And so, of course, we already know he weighs too much for her to actually physically pick him up. So I'm thinking to myself, okay, so how are you going to pick him up and everything because of the fact that he's knocked out? Then she gets the whole entire tarp and tries to drag him a little bit further away from where he was, and then that's when she comes face to face with the alligator. And I love her facial expression for the very first time when she sees this thing.
Yeah, it was great. Yeah, it was good acting all around, really.
Most definitely. And I always say this: the best reaction is always just facial expressions on themselves. You don't actually have to have dialogue to
Right.
draw you in.
Right. Acting with your
And that
whole body. Yeah.
exactly. And I felt the tension, even though this is in my house and everything, I can actually feel the tension, which is actually rare that you can actually have a movie to where you can actually feel that same tension, because usually you want to be around a big crowd to actually see a movie like this to get the reaction that you actually want from the movie.
Mm-hmm.
But it actually works for a smaller screen as well, which I really appreciate, because I can actually appreciate the character a lot more and feel the build up and is this character actually going to make it out of this thing alive or not?
Mm-hmm.
And then she's winding up the generator again, the camera,
The flashlight.
the flashlight. And the thing that I found that was actually pretty cool was all of a sudden her father wakes up and then he sees what they're dealing with.
Yeah, no, it was actually kind of. I wrote that down as one of my I thought this was really funny because he kind of just wakes up and he goes, "Oh, be careful! There's a gator down here." Like he said it so nonchalantly.
Right, that's how you know you're from Florida. If you dealt with alligators, you know, honey, just be careful.
Yeah, he's like, "Oh, watch out for that gator." Yeah.
By the way, have you seen my lunch?
Yeah. Yeah, I really wish that she had like a kind of a witty comeback to this. You know, like, oh yeah, we've already met, because the gator busts through the stairs. It was kind of it was like the first jump scare of this movie. It was great.
Yep. And I thought the jump scare was really good because it could come off as, okay, we've seen a billion jump scares like this before, or it could be just something else rather than the gator. But I appreciate the fact that it was the gator that actually made us jump, and the fact that he was the one who actually destroyed the stairs.
Yeah, and there weren't any like fake outs.
Right. Like it could have been easily just crumbled on its own and everything, and then all of a sudden you see the gator slowly coming out of that shadow and then coming after her. Right. But it was the opposite effect, which I appreciate so much. Like you said, this movie is actually smart when it comes down to that, you know? And I also have to say, when the cop comes down to goes down there, because he actually he cares about her and everything, and he comes down to try and see what's going on, goes down to the house, and that goes disarray as well. Yeah. That goes in shambles.
Yeah, they kind of had to think outside the box slightly to think of, well, I don't know if I want to say it. I don't know if I want to spoil it. So never mind. I'm going to stop. I'm going to stop myself.
Well, it might be in the trailer though. So
yeah, I was going to say they had to think of a way to increase the body count in this movie. I'll say that.
Most definitely.
Yeah.
And the blood count and everything else. So.
Yeah.
But
I'm sorry. No, I had a quick question for you before getting to this part. So back to the scene that you just described where the gator actually busts through the stairs. I was kind of surprised at how much that they were showing the gators in this, like, because like in Jaws or like other monster movies, they tend to sort of hide away the monster and save it towards like the end of the movie. Like you kind of just see like the effects of them, or like little, like maybe you see like the tail of the gator, like a claw or whatever. I was kind of surprised at how much they just revealed the gators. Like, how'd you feel about that?
I was like, okay, so they're not going to hide the gators from us, which is a good thing in a sense, because it's actually something new. But at the same time, I'm like, I would like to have a little bit of a slow burn.
Yeah.
To where we got it, you know what I mean? But it is a one-room setting as well.
Which I love.
Me too. I love one-room settings. And, it might be kind of hard to actually not reveal something in a one-room setting, especially in a basement area.
Okay.
That's what I'm thinking. But, the basement is bigger than what I thought it was, to be honest. So they could actually do the eyes glowing in the shadow kind of thing like they did on that one scene.
Mm-hmm.
Which I thought was perfect.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it was good. Just something lurking in the shadow. Yeah, I was just kind of surprised at how much that they were, at least early on, because later on they do some like cool stuff with like hinting at like where they might be or whatever. But I was kind of surprised, like that first jump scare. I was like, oh wow, we're seeing the gator. Like I thought it would have been like what you just described, like maybe a slower burn. But I guess maybe they were just trying to amplify the fear of like, hey, there's this big fucking monster down here. Like this is a
Exactly.
big lizard down here that's ready to eat you. So
Right. And not only that, but I was like, okay, are we dealing with just one alligator?
right.
Are we dealing with just, I was like, okay, if this is just one alligator, I'm going to be let down because I'm here to see some alligators.
You're ready to see
You
a
know?
pack of gators. Yeah.
Right. And then all of a sudden, there comes another one and another one. There's 3 of them down in this basement.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, okay, this is what I fucking came here for. This is why I'm watching this movie.
Right. Yeah. It definitely put the odds against our protagonist. And I thought it was kind of going to be more like just one bad gator that they're trying to fight the whole movie, and which I would have been down for. But once I saw that there were multiple of them, I was like, oh shit. Like this is
Right. Shit just got real.
Yeah.
Real fast. And I like that though. I like that it wasn't just one gator though. It amplifies the suspense, and it also challenges the character on how to actually take down 3 of these gators that are after them.
Right. Yeah.
And also gives you it actually amplifies the danger of that character too.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
So I love that. And then also too, they could have done this too, because if you remember the people that were actually robbing the gas station,
Oh my god. Yeah.
they could have actually easily made them the main protagonist and held the daughter and the daughter and the father hostage.
Oh, interesting.
Well, that's what my mind was going. I'm like, please don't tell me they're changing the direction of this film, because I want this primarily just to be about the gators. I don't want any other motivation. I don't want robbers to coming into the house and try and rob them as they're down this basement, and then they have the gun held to their head.
I didn't even think about the looters turning on them, or turning into a secondary antagonist. I didn't even think about that. But that's a good thing that they didn't do that, because that would have sucked. Because the gators are the baddies in this movie. We don't need anything else. We already have gators. We already have this, eat shit hurricane coming through. So
exactly. And you know what? I appreciate Anaconda and everything. I really do. But it just goes over to that effect where you actually see you have 2 main antagonists. You actually have the snake, and then you have the guy who hunts anacondas.
Right. Yeah.
So I was like, that's where I was going with this movie. I'm like, please don't let that be Anaconda.
Right.
Because it worked for Anaconda.
Yeah.
It works for Anaconda, but not for this.
I'm sorry. Yeah. And that's like not what this movie is about, because you could look at a movie like you just said, Anaconda, and you could kind of see that as like nature fighting back towards, humanity for the pollution, or, whatever it is that we've done environmentally, because, you have that guy that's hunting anacondas in this too. But here we don't have that. This movie isn't really about like a human versus nature sort of dynamic. It's just a dynamic of these people are just stuck in this situation. And that's why it's such a good concept movie. So it's a simple, like, hey, they're stuck in a basement that's flooding, but there's also 2 gators in there. So,
right.
And they're trying to rebuild their family. So that's what it's about. It's not about this whole, it's not, it doesn't have this underlying message of like humans caused the hurricanes. Like, no, it's just a hurricane and gators. So,
right. It's a disaster movie mixed in with a horror movie.
Yeah, I'm surprised Roland Emmerich didn't direct this, to be honest.
Oh my god, that does have his flavor.
Maybe if it was set in New York, it would, because that dude seems to hate New York, because he destroys it in every movie he does.
You're not lying. If it's a landmark, he's going to destroy it.
Right.
But, I didn't. With those looters, though, I felt like they were so fucking stupid. I'm like, you're stealing an ATM machine. What the hell are you going to do with that thing?
Yeah, it's kind of one of those things like, just put it in the boat. We'll figure it out later.
It kind of reminds you, I don't know if you saw the movie Barbershop, where Anthony and them are actually Anthony Anderson's actually stealing an ATM machine.
Oh, no, I haven't seen that.
Yeah, they actually took an ATM machine and stole it. And basically, he's walking around with an ATM machine on a dolly.
Okay.
And...
and so Barbershop from Crawl, right?
But I'm like, what are you doing? And then you have the kid just stealing everything in sight.
Right. Yeah, yeah.
So,
I kind of wish we got like maybe 5 more minutes of this because I thought that we were going to have like a deep blue sea situation
mm,
with the kid that was actually inside the gas station. I thought we are going to have like a little bit of him like crawling on top of the shelves and him running away from the gators. So I thought would have had more of that, but yeah. So
that's
that's it. Yeah, that's
mm,
pretty much just kind of like what I was. I was like, oh, okay, I probably would have appreciated like an extra few minutes here, but whatever. It was fine. It was good.
same here as well. I was thinking, okay, he's gonna come on the maybe on the counter, jump on the counter. The alligator's gonna miss him, and then he's gonna try and swim out to the boat, and then the gator's gonna get him.
Mm-hmm.
But there's that sneakiness about the gator, though, because he doesn't see the gator, right?
Yeah.
So he sees the teal, and by the time he sees the teal in that rear view camera angle thing that they have in the stores,
Mm-hmm.
that's when the gator grabs him.
Yeah, it was good. I mean, it was a good part of the movie. I enjoyed it. I just wanted a little bit more.
Same. I agree with you on that, but I did enjoy the sneakiness of the gator for that part.
Yeah.
And then also too, that's their refuge. That's the father and daughter's refuge right there, pretty much. You have a feeling that okay, if they don't if they miss their marker on their rescue team, that's probably going to be their next. That's going to be their plan B.
Yeah. Really
And
like
everything.
playing like C or D at this point. Yeah.
Right. And as it keeps on going, you can see the father measuring how deep the water's going
Mm-hmm.
up too, and that's also another thing that adds the dramatic and horror aspect to this, is because now they have to be afraid of drowning and also being eaten by alligators.
Yep. Yep. It's not a good combo.
No, definitely not. I would rather go by suffocating underwater for 200 than be eaten by gators. That's just me.
Yeah.
If I had to pick,
They both suck. I don't know which one is better. But they both suck. So,
that's true.
yeah, I don't know. I would hope that maybe, geez, I don't know. Yeah, that would brain aneurysm. Yeah, just anything else.
Another thing too is what other scene actually stood out for you?
So I liked everything down in the crawl space, which again is it's funny because you know crawl space. I really appreciate. Okay, I'll tell you which one really stuck out to me. It's the scene where the house is actually starting to flood, and they're in the house now at this point. And it's the scene where she is in the bathroom and she's able to kind of do some like parkour trickery, and she captures this gator inside the shower. It was a very cool scene. It's in the trailer. I remember that was like the thing that stood out to me when the trailer first came out. I was like, what the fuck? She got a gator in the shower? Oh my God, I got to see this movie. So,
right. Yeah. And it's like, how did that get, then your mind is also playing tricks with you too. How the hell did she get that in there in the first place? How did the gator come into the bathroom?
Right, yeah. And this whole thing of like, I felt like the gator probably would have broken through the shower door, but whatever movie. I'm here to watch a movie about gators attacking just one family in this house. I guess I'll let that slide.
Right, because with movies like this, we have to suspend disbelief. And that's what I was saying on Twitter, though, too. I said, you have to suspend disbelief with this movie.
Yeah,
you can't go in.
You kind of have to roll your eyes going, okay, yeah.
Another thing, though, that I want to mention, too. Remember when she actually catches the gator in that little cage with his head?
Yes.
That part made me laugh.
Oh, why is that? Was it just because you just didn't think that was plausible?
Well, it just made me chuckle because of how quick that happened.
Oh, gotcha.
It's like you know what I mean? It's like all of a sudden I got you. And I'm like, that was actually pretty funny, but actually pretty cool at the same time.
Yeah, no, I really appreciated that they made Haley a smart character in this. She wasn't stupid. Like later on when they're in the crawl space, and let me know if I'm giving away too much of the movie.
No. I don't feel like you're giving away too much at all, to be honest.
Like if y'all haven't seen this, like you should. It's on Hulu right now, so if you have a subscription, you could watch it. It's a good like 90-minute movie. So, anyways, there's like a part where she already knows that there's gators, so she's devising a plan to get out, and she has to go to a different part of the crawl space without attracting their attention. But she does this in a very smart way, and she sets up like kind of barriers for herself to protect herself from the gators just in case she just gets snuck up on. And it was kind of, I just like appreciated that they didn't make her like a typical horror movie blonde. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
I never felt like that she was inept for this situation. Just felt like, okay, well, she seems like she's up to the challenge a little bit. So I really appreciated that. And I watched an interview with the actress that played Haley, and she said that the script jumped out to her because it was the first role that she had to play where she wasn't like somebody's boyfriend, or she like just wasn't making out with some random dude in the movie. Like she was a very strong, independent female role, and she was really good in this. I really liked it all. And again, I love that they made her smart and not stupid in this.
Same here as well. That's another thing I can appreciate about that interview is the fact, you know, it can actually be a very paint by the numbers kind of character where basically with that, where the boyfriend comes in, rescues the girl and everything. But I like the fact that it's an independent woman, or an independent girl from a university trying to survive this nightmarish day with her father against these alligators. And it is actually really good. I mean, I didn't feel like that anybody was safe in this movie. Anybody could die at any given
Right.
time,
Yeah.
which is because usually that's unusual for movies to actually do, because sometimes you actually feel like these characters are safe rather than some sense of danger. At that point, it actually becomes like a cartoon kind of movie, you know?
Definitely.
And I really do appreciate what they did. And even in The Shallows, I feel like the movie The Shallows, that character wasn't as strong as what Haley is. That's just my perspective. I just didn't. I don't know. I might have to go back and rewatch it again. But I felt like there was a sense of danger there, but I just didn't feel like that she was as smart as what Haley is, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, yeah, they definitely showed Haley's. I don't know, like just kind of like they just showed that she was never defeated. Like she was never. I mean, I guess there was that time where her dad kind of had to like give her that pep talk at one point in the movie, but like outside of that, she was never really just like, oh, I'm just defeated, I should just go. She never had that attitude, and you never felt like that from her.
Exactly.
Yeah, she always felt like she's like, okay, well, I just got to do. She's always thinking about like two steps ahead about what it was that she needed to do to get out of this situation. So, and I really appreciated that.
Same here, because it actually shows strength. It actually shows that this girl is a warrior when it comes down to swimming and everything else.
Predator. Yeah.
But let's talk about the underwater scenes that was in this movie, though, too, because they could actually be too dark if you think about it.
Yeah.
Just like that underwater movie with what's that girl's name? Kristen Stewart. Those scenes were way too dark. This could actually be that same effect going underwater. But I love the fact that they actually gave it some light to where we can see what's actually going on underneath the water while she's swimming underneath the crawl.
You know, I didn't actually think about that, but yeah, you're totally right. Yeah, whenever she did go underwater, because that sounds kind of trivial, but there's a good sequence with her underwater in this movie. And yeah, no, you're definitely right. I think that's something to even think about. Yeah, it's well lit. Yeah, that was good pickup on you.
Thank you. I do appreciate that. But yeah, like I want to also talk about that scene that you were talking about that was really good underwater, because if it's the part where you actually see the gator swimming, and then that made me have goosebumps on that part.
Yeah, no, this was really good, and also I felt like I was holding her breath forever, which it's a movie, but still I was kind of like, oh my god, like because there's a part where, like you said, the gator swims by, and she's so far in the tunnel, you're kind of like, fuck, what do you do? Do you like turn around and go back and see if you have enough oxygen, or do you just keep going forward? Because like the surface is technically closer if you keep going forward, but there's the danger of the gator. But it's like if you turn around, I don't know. I was like, I don't want to be in that situation. I felt claustrophobic at this point in the movie.
I agree with you. I fully on agree with you. I did feel claustrophobic whenever I saw that. And then also too, remember what her father said, do not go that way, that's the way they're coming in. And I'm
Yeah,
like,
which
well,
I love. That's how he knew that they were coming in. He's like, yeah. That's the back door that the videos. I just haven't boarded it up. Yeah, that's the gator door. I've been meaning to take care of that.
right? It's like a doggy door. It's like,
Right.
it's okay. Gators are welcome here. They're friendly.
Yeah. He's like, oh, I've been meaning to take care of that. I knew it was something on my honey to-do list. I knew.
It was that damn screen that I should have put up a long time ago and boarded it up.
I was
Well,
telling yourself to take care of that gator door.
but I was thinking to myself, that might be the only way that you have, the only chance that you have,
Right.
is to go through that way. Even though you don't want to, you have no choice at this moment.
Yeah.
And then he goes, well, wait, we have a trap door.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's a... It seems like your father didn't think of anything.
I know.
It was like...
I felt like they gave up really quickly on the trapdoor because I felt like I would have just been like, nope, I'm going to break my hand getting through this trapdoor. Like I felt like they gave up on that way too early.
I agree with that because as strong as Haley is as a character, I would have thought that she would, that warrior in her would actually try with all her strength to try and do it. I know that females don't have the muscle capacity as a man does, but the adrenaline would probably wind up
And she's
knocking the container off
too.
it. Right.
Yeah. So I just felt, especially like there's a point where she gets a gun. I was like, just take that gun, put the holes in there, and just punch through it. Like,
you see, you and I were thinking on the same lines with that. I'm like, you got the gun from that cop. Now you can actually start using it.
Yeah.
Never mind.
There's a really cool scene where she does use it. I don't know if I want to spoil it here, but there was a really cool scene. But at the same time, I was thinking, use it. Just...
Exactly. And then I also liked how, I'm not going to go into spoiler territory or anything like that, but just the way she takes down the first gator alone was actually pretty cool.
That was a finish your drink kind of moment. It was pretty badass.
Speaking of finishing your drink, what would you say is a couple of drinking rules that you have for your list?
I went ahead and gave this a Film on the Rocks treatment. So on our podcast, me and my host, we each come up with 5 rules. So my 5 rules were drink every time a gator does like a 180. You see a lot of gator tails kind of like whipping around real quick to like go chase after someone. Mm-hmm. So every time you see a gator do like 180, drink every time a main character is bitten. Drink,
oh God.
Yeah. Drink every time they say apex predator. This one is a really dangerous one. Drink every time you hear a gator specifically hiss, not growl, but hiss. So, because I had it at both at first, and when I was rewatching it, I was like, "Oh my God, yeah, that would kill someone. You just gotta do one or the other." So I picked hiss.
that actually works better because then you get really wasted while that is actually going on.
Right, yeah. And then my last drinking rule was every time, you've mentioned this a couple times, every time Haley is cranking the flashlight, take a drink.
Okay, that's one I had too. That was on my list.
Okay, do you got a list? I want to hear your rules, man.
Okay, so that was one of them. I just have 2 that I made up in my mind. But one of the things that I thought of, every time she has to crawl underneath the crawl space.
Okay.
Take a drink.
Every time she's like physically crawling.
Yep.
Gotcha.
Take a drink. Could you imagine having to take a drink every single time that actually happens?
Oh man, you might need to you might need to do some waters in between there. It's also kind of like that thing we have like this inside joke on the show called like the movie title clause, where it's not when somebody says the name of the movie, but it's when like visually you kind of get like, oh, this was on the cover of the movie, or like, oh, they're doing with the movie, like her crawling is like in this movie is called Crawls, kind of like that elbow nudge, like, hey, she's crawling in a movie called Crawl.
It's kind of like Peter. Oh my God, he said it.
Yeah. Exactly.
Remember from Family Guy?
He
said the title.
yeah, exactly. I forget. Shit, I can't remember what. Because I know that reference. So I'm trying to remember which movie he was watching. It's irrelevant, but yeah, I know what you're.
Right. But yeah, those were the 2 drinking rules that I had, because I had a feeling you might want to bring some of that flavor onto the show, which is fine because I wanted you to actually bring that list.
Yeah,
So
definitely, yeah.
because I always have fun whenever I hear you and Levi actually doing that, and I'm like, okay, I want him to bring that on the show.
I appreciate
So
that. Yeah, it's gotten to the
no
point
problem.
where whenever I'm watching a movie, even if it's not for the podcast, I'm going that would be a drinking role. I go, stop it, just enjoy the movie.
You know what though? You actually have me doing it, and I don't even do it for the podcast.
Oh,
For the
nice.
podcast.
There you go.
But yeah, man. Let's talk about another thing though too, like the father.
Mm-hmm.
When at first I'm thinking, okay, the father's gonna be okay, you know. I think the father's gonna be perfectly okay. Then all of a sudden he loses a limb. I'm like, well, never mind.
Not gonna lie, I kind of felt like Haley was a character we could trust, would be safe,
Right.
give or take a limb. But I was honestly really nervous for the dad because I was like, okay, if they could X someone from the main cast, he's probably him and Sugar are the two that they would get rid of. So I was worried about him the whole time, to be honest.
Same as well, because I'm like, I'm gonna be honest with you. I was thinking the same lines as well. I was like, when I saw Sugar going into the water, I'm like, oh no, this is not good for the dog. Get the dog out of the water.
Yeah.
But and then of course, Haley gets bitten quite a few times in this film.
You're drinking there, man. Yeah, you're drinking every time she gets bitten.
So, I'm like, I'm hoping that she gets out of this alive because right now it's looking like maybe the both of them might die in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
By the time you get to almost to the climax of the film, it looks like the both of them might actually not make it out alive.
Right. Yeah.
Let's talk about her swimming out to the boat where the looters are.
Yeah, I was against this whole plan from the beginning. I was like, just stay in the house and go to your attic, like, or the roof, whatever.
Right.
I was like, just there's a pack of gators. I was like, you're just tempting fate here.
You are, and then the father's like, it sounds like Sean Bean is talking at this moment.
Yeah.
He's like, you know what? The rain is falling down. It'll actually cover your splashes and everything. You should be fine. Go out there and see what happens.
By the way, I love that they made him a gator expert. He drops a couple gator facts throughout this movie. He's like, oh, they can hear you really well, but they can't see worth shit. And, and the whole, raid looks like Splash. Like, it'll confuse them. This whole thing. So, like, are you the fucking gator whisperer? Like, Dad, like, you haven't told me any gator facts my whole life.
Right, and all of a sudden now you're just pumped with knowledge.
Yeah, I wonder if it's kind of like a thing. Like, yeah, I've been studying them. They go through the gator door every Sunday. They tell me all their secrets.
Yeah, I can just see him writing down his notes, doing analyzing them.
Yeah,
and he's like, okay, let me see what happens if I make a noise. Okay, gator makes noise equals bad.
Yeah, exactly. Like they can hear me very well, but like I go underwater, they don't see the funny faces I make at them. They're not laughing at my funny faces, so they can't see me.
Right. It's kind of like Steve Irwin, if you think about it. It's like, let's see what happens if I blind them.
Oh no.
It kind of has that kind of flavor to it.
Thank God we didn't have the like what would have been like a stereotypic like Australian person in this movie just shoehorn in this. Thank God they didn't do that.
They could have easily done that, especially with the gator form, because they could have actually had him working, that Australian guy.
They could have made him like a hero or something. Yeah.
It's like, good on, mate. I'm here to rescue you.
Like, oh no, you didn't board up your gator door. I just did the worst Australian accent ever, but
I think I did a worse one though too, so don't feel bad.
No, it's okay. But yeah, so it's one of those things. Like, oh yeah, you got to board up these gator doors, man. It's I don't even know why they put them in these houses anymore.
They come with your house.
Yeah, exactly.
Fully loaded.
Yeah.
Fully loaded.
He's like, oh, yeah, your house is not the code. You got to have a gator door in Florida.
Let's see. Electricity, the wires, yeah, they're fine. I can see the electrician with the big, huge book that they have to actually carry when they inspect houses. Okay, you got this right. You got this right. You got this right. What about the gator door? Shit.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
I was meaning to fix that,
Yeah, yeah. Put the gator
but
door in the northeast corner. That's the code.
and then also too when she finally gets to the boat and then you see this giant wave, they go back in the house.
Yeah, I mean, like, it makes sense. I was like, that's what you should have been
Right.
doing this whole time because then you wouldn't be in this
Right.
predicament. But it that was a really cool sequence though when the levee breaks and the
Right.
wave carries them in the boat through this bay window back into the house. It was very cool.
I love the visual for that. The visual effect was really good. It could have winded up being cheesy, but it wasn't. I'm
Yeah.
like, so now we're back to plan A again, where you should have actually been at from the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
But also too, I liked also where she actually felt like she was safe with the walkie-talkie that the police officer had.
Yeah.
Though too, I like the fact that they actually did use the walkie-talkie. She was able to use that, the CB radio. We already knew the cell phone was actually going to be crushed. We knew that cell phone wasn't going to last long
Mm-hmm.
in this film.
Yeah.
I was like, either the flood is going to wind up taking it or the gator's going to step on it.
Yeah, I wonder. See, I was wondering if it was going to go that route or the route of like she could call for help, but just literally nobody could come because of the hurricane, so it was just futile, anyways.
Oh, good call on that one. Because I'm actually surprised the two cops actually came at that point.
I think it was just because one of them was her buddy that she kind of just blew off at that traffic stop. So he kind of went to, I think that this was all like kind of quote unquote off the books. Like he wasn't told to go search. He's just like, I need to go check for my friend because she hasn't come back. And I knew that she, because we see that she just disobeys them and just, speeds off past the
Right.
traffic block. Yeah.
Right. Plus, her sister also went out with the cop. So there's that too.
Yeah. yeah. There's that too.
But yeah, I definitely feel the sense of danger whenever the levee broke. I definitely felt like, okay, how are they going to get out of this situation now? And then they're using flares now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and this was really cool. Like, I love seeing just because if you think about it, this movie just takes place in a house, but it's a house flooding, so it was kind of cool to get this unique. I don't know what I'm trying to say. Like this unique environment that was like, yeah, we're in a house, which we're all in houses, but it's like, but your house is underwater. It's kind of like you swimming through your living room, whatever. I don't know. It's. I just kind of enjoy little things like that. I was like, oh, this is kind of fun.
I did too as well, especially when you have the flares going underwater and everything. I always love visuals underwater like that.
Mm-hmm.
For some reason, I'm attracted to stuff like that.
Yeah, no,
and I thought so. I like that, and then of course, the father loses the limb all of a sudden, and
that was a crazy scene. Not gonna lie, that was crazy.
At first, I thought he was going to be a goner after that moment.
Same.
But when this movie closes, now we're getting into we're not going to give spoilers on how it actually ends, but how did you think the movie ended? Did you feel let down with the ending, or did you just feel like it was a typical way of how they ended the movie?
I've been kind of sitting on this for a little bit. I mean, I don't hate the ending. Like, just to be clear, like that's like my verdict. I think it's fine. But at the same time, I felt like we probably could have done. This is like the rare scenario where you could kind of say this movie could have probably tacked on an extra 10 minutes if they wanted to.
True.
But it's fine. It's fine. I like the ending. I guess you really don't need any more than what we got. Is what I'll say. So my verdict is it's fine. Yeah, it's good.
I agree. I think the timing is fine, but I wish that they would have actually tackled on the extra 5-10 minutes just to show them in the hospital. The sister comes in or the mother comes in.
Yeah. Oh,
and everything.
That's a good point. Yeah, have like this overall family resolution. That would have been good.
Right, because don't forget, we've seen the house. It represents who they are.
Mm-hmm.
And she rekindled the relationship between her father and her. I would like to actually see the family kind of together, even though maybe the sister can't. Maybe the mother can actually be there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Maybe it could be a couple of days later after the storm settles down.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, that would have been good, I think.
I think so too. And do you have any trivia for this movie or no? I'm
Um,
just wondering.
the most so I kind of just watched some interviews with the director, and he talked about how they did this because I was kind of curious, how did they film this movie? You know, because it looked, I mean, like visually, I thought it was, it was pretty good, and the Gators. Some points in the movie they look better than at other points in the movie, but overall, like I didn't felt like anything was like super cheesy or bad graphics, and I really did feel like they were in an actual hurricane during this movie. And so the director said that, and I was like, okay, this makes sense. But everything was on a set. Literally everything was a set in this movie. So like even when like the house, the basement, everything was a set, and they just built a ginormous tank for them to flood. And
Damn.
so yeah, and I mean they said that it was a fun but challenging one, just because think about it, being an actor in this, you're wet and cold for however many hours you're filming that day. That can't be fun for anyone. So
Most definitely.
yeah, and I was so like speaking, just this isn't like so much trivia, but like I was actually shocked at how much money this movie made. I don't know if you saw, but
Yeah, not
this
yeah, oh, go on ahead.
oh no, I'm sorry. Yeah, so the movie had a budget of 13.5 million, and it made
Mhm.
$91 million in the box office.
Okay, so I'm gonna break into my little thing because
Yeah, go ahead.
movie theater. Okay, movie theaters actually make a third of what they take in, so
Okay.
they actually have to take a third away from it, and then the rest goes to the box office, and that's the actual number. So you take a third from 91 million. That's actually the correct number it actually made.
Okay. But
I didn't know if you knew that.
I did not know that, but still, so what is that, like $60 million?
Yeah, it made like 60 mil.
Still, like on a budget of
Yeah,
13 and a half, that's still like, for a movie like
breaking
this,
even.
which you would think would kind of be like a straight to DVD thing, which it isn't of that quality, is actually pretty good. I was actually really happy to see that 91 million when I looked it up. So I was like, oh, good. I'm glad this movie did well.
Same here as well, because I was like, are people gonna gravitate towards a disaster movie with alligators in this world
Mm-hmm.
and everything? Because I know people are suckered for disaster movies. I know I am.
Yeah, right.
But are they gonna, or do they want alligators mixed in with their disaster movie?
Yeah. See,
Because
go ahead.
no, go on ahead, man.
Oh, I
Go
was
on.
just going to say, I was just kind of add on to just the appeal of the creature feature aspect of this, because I really appreciate that they're just normal alligators, right? They're not. They didn't, like I said earlier, they didn't go the route of Deep Blue Sea and made them like super smart or super big and strong alligators. These were just typical wild gators. And I really actually appreciate that there wasn't this supernatural or this, I don't know, just they didn't go an extra step to make them even more intimidating. It's like, yeah, they're just normal gators, and you don't want to mess with them. So I appreciated that.
Same here as well, because they could have gone the route of mutation, mutated
Right.
alligators. I'm like, do not do that. Make it as simplistic as possible. People will gear towards it and love it.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's pretty much everything that I wanted to cover for this film. Was there anything else that you wanted to mention about the film and everything?
I really appreciated this director, listening to him talk. Alexander Ajay, I think is his name, or I'm sorry, Alexandra Ajay, I think is his name, but I might be butchering it. Sorry, but he was. I always appreciate listening to directors and filmmakers just talk about the craft. So you could find interviews with him on YouTube just talking about this movie. I encourage people to go do that. And it's the thing that I find funny about him is that he seems to have this shtick about animal movies. So he also directed Piranha, the remake. He did this, Crawl, and when asked if he could remake any horror movie, he said it would be The Birds.
Oh God,
So,
I wouldn't mind seeing that.
so he really seems to like these animal movies. So I find that kind of funny and I don't know, kind of innocent, I guess. I don't know. I just find that kind of fun. So yeah, that's the last little bit I had, but I
Right.
totally recommend this movie.
Same here as well. I definitely enjoyed the movie as well. The chemistry between the father and daughter worked really well. The build up worked. Everything just flowed really well.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, the characterization of the characters got developed as the movie keeps on going, which is good because I like good characterization of the characters.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I felt like that was good here.
And also, too, I like the fact that you went in and looked at the director's IMDb because I didn't have a clue that he was the same director who did Piranha, and I liked the very first Piranha movie.
Yeah. He's done a handful of other stuff, and something I wanted to mention too was that he also directed the remake of The Hills Have Eyes, so he is definitely just deep into this horror genre. And something I wanted to point out too was that Sam Raimi was the producer on this movie, and I really felt who, of course, if people don't know this, he directed and wrote the original Evil Dead. That was his breakout. And anyways, so I feel like that there were some nods to the Evil Dead movie in this movie. So a lot of, especially anytime like you see like trees or whatever break through windows, or the whole concept and dynamic of them going through the cellar store, the cellar. What am I trying to say? Stairs. Sorry. Oh my goodness.
Yep.
Yeah. The cellar stairs, because all that is kind of, all of this was kind of imagery that was making me think of the Evil Dead, which Sam Raimi was the creator of. So I really kind of appreciated that, and also you had these two big guys that have been juggernauts in horror. Hills Have Eyes, Piranha, Evil Dead. So it was all really good and fun to see these people kind of do this simple concept but fun movie and just knock it out of the park.
Definitely, most definitely. And also, too, I didn't know that he did The Hills Have Eyes. I love The Hills Have Eyes remake. I thought it was really good.
Mm-hmm.
So to have that flavor on this, it really did its job.
Yeah, definitely.
And then also another thing, though, Sam Raimi, usually whenever they slap a producer name on there, usually sometimes they're involved, sometimes they're not. Sometimes they just slap it on there just to get recognition. Hey, look, Steven Spielberg's produced this movie whenever he really wasn't even there.
Yeah, it's like he paid for pizza one day.
Right. Hey, Steven, thanks for the pizza. Do you want to be producer? Sure, why not?
Yeah.
But Sam, he was there. You could definitely see the fingerprints on this work.
Yeah, I think so. Or at least, if not, he was definitely the director was definitely at least giving him the tip of that hat throughout this movie too. If that wasn't the case, but yeah, I definitely feel like that. It felt like it was done by people that knew what they were doing in the genre.
Definitely. So that's gonna be it on the review, and that's all that you have to add, that you wanted to add, right?
Yep,
I just want to make sure that you have everything out in the open that you wanted to say.
Yep. That's everything I got for this. Everybody should check this out, or at least rewatch it with the drinking rules we gave.
You know what? I might actually do that. I might actually get me a Sam Adams tomorrow and do that.
There you go. That a boy. I love Sam Adams.
I do too. That taste, is so smooth. But but yeah, I might actually get me a Sam Adams, pop it open, have a little bit of fun with this.
Yeah, definitely.
So anyways, where can everybody reach you?
So thank you again, John, by the way, for having me on here. This was a total blast. I love talking about movies. So again, I'm Brucker, and my co-host Levi. We have a podcast called Film on the Rocks. You can find us on iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, pretty much any podcaster app you use. And we are on Twitter at Film on the Rocks and Instagram at Film on the Rocks Podcast. And we are we talk about different movies. We do all sorts of different movies. I don't know when this episode will be coming out, but this week we're having an episode on Remember the Titans, and it was such a blast to talk about that movie.
That's actually one of my favorite Denzel Washington movies, so I'll definitely be checking that out.
Awesome. Yeah, I can't wait. And I think we saw you're a fan of the movie The Losers, right?
Yeah, I love that movie.
We just recorded that for that episode last night, actually, and it's good. I'm really excited for you and everyone else to hear our episode on The Losers. I'm
interested to see what the drinking rules is for that. If there's actually a drinking rule for Chris Evans every single time he has a different shirt on. I think you're going to be. I think you're going to be satisfied, man. Okay, all right. That's what I want to talk. That's what I'm talking about. So, anyways, I just want to say thanks again for taking the time out and everything to want to be on the show. It really does mean a lot to me. I do appreciate what you and Levi do. You guys do a fantastic job on your show.
Oh, thank you
That's
so
no
much.
bull. You're very welcome. That's no BS, man. You guys really do a great job at what you do.
Oh, thank you so much. I really appreciate that, and I love your show.
Thank you. I'm glad that you really enjoy it. That means a lot to me.
Good.
And you're very welcome. And everyone, I just want to let you guys know that you guys can actually buy me a coffee. If you don't know what buymeacoffee.com is, you can actually donate towards the show. This actually helps with equipment for the show, helps with doing giveaways because I'm planning on doing digital giveaways to our fans. I'm planning on doing a lot more for the fan community that I actually built, and I want to give back to them. And if you want me to give back, go on ahead, donate $5 for a cup of coffee or a pizza because I can actually change it out to pizza or I can change it out to coffee. So, you know what? Let's go and have some fun. Buy me a cup of coffee. You'll get something back in return in the future. I guarantee it. And you guys can reach me at Movie Lovers TV Lovers Unite on Facebook. You can actually reach me on Movie Lovers TV Lovers Unite on Instagram, and then on Twitter, you can reach me at John DiGregorio85. And then, of course, you can also reach me on Movie Lovers Unit instead of Unite because they won't let me have the E. so, so yeah, you guys can reach me there. And always until next time, bye bye.
Bye.